All right, we are 5 after 10, so we're going to get going here. Thank you all for coming to this important training. Big thank you to Washington County Sheriff's Department for coming out and conducting this training. Sergeant Palmer is up here at the East Substation, so we've got a great little relationship with him. We just brought a couple of other individuals. I'll let him introduce them to conduct the training. So I'll turn it over.
Okay. Well, thank you guys for coming. It's obviously a really important subject. Take everything you can out of it. It's not a comfortable subject to talk about. None of us like to talk about it. We certainly don't enjoy talking about it, but we have to live in the reality that this can and will happen somewhere in our country, and it could be here. So the better prepared we are, the better we can mitigate any victims, problems, and maybe prevent it at the very beginning before it even starts. So a little bit about myself, so you guys know I am your incline resident sergeant. I'm running the substation right now, so if you guys have any problems with us or any concerns or any questions, you can call me. It's Sergeant Josh Palmer. My phone number is 832-4114 is my desk line. You guys can call me anytime you want. And like I said, I live up here, I work up here, so I'm available to you guys. I'll turn it over to the real experts in this field. I have been in some active shooter roles. I've been in detectives. I've done a lot of different things. So I do have some real experience with this. Sergeant Jones is an expert in this field and has taught quite a bit over his career. Deputy Frankie Gamboa, same thing. He was an incline resident deputy also at one point and is now assigned to the K-9 unit. So I will turn it over to them and let them introduce themselves and go on with the training.
All right, good morning. I can tell everybody's sitting in the back comfortably. I'm not going to make everybody move up. That's not my style, and I kind of have a loud voice, so we'll be just fine. Just a little background about the people that are teaching in front of you, okay? I always hate when people give a long list of resumes, and then at the end you go, why does this person teach me? They have nowhere near the subject matter experts in it. First of all, Frank Gamboa, who works for me, he's a SWAT operator. He literally has made 2 hostage rescue entries in the last month, one in Wadsworth and the other one in Montage. He entered with Reno SWAT on the shooter that was firing down on the street. So he's certainly an expert in addressing that end of the active shooter. My role and my background, I've been with the Sheriff's Office for 24 years, and now a sergeant in Special Operations, which means we run a narcotics unit, I have 8 canines, and I have the gang unit. Before that, prior to that, I was a SWAT team leader for years, and I ran a K-9 for years. I've been teaching active shooter, believe it or not, since 2005. And we're going to discuss a lot about that, how it's changed, and how the media has changed your perception of active shooters, but really hasn't changed law enforcement. Okay, we're always a couple years behind, but we continue to address it. So let's start off first. What is it you guys want to get out of this class? Okay, you're going to an active shooter class. That's like him and I going to a national SWAT school. All right? That's a huge subject. All right? Do you want the civilian end of it? Do you want the SWAT end of it? You want me to make you feel good? You want me to make you feel bad? You see what I'm saying? This class is a give and take class. I'm very upfront about things, and you'll find that I will answer your questions brutally honestly. So I tell people, be careful what you ask, because I will answer them brutally honestly. That's just the way it is. At the end, we'll shut the tape off, not because we're doing anything nefarious, but we're going to go over some of the different things that are actually true investigations still going on with active shooters that actually happen in this town. All right? So feel free, raise your hand, do whatever it is, and give me some feedback as we talk. Let's start off with active shooter, all right? We're going to have some premise. How long do you think active shooters have been going on? Okay? Forever. Okay? Forever. We could spend an hour and a half and I could bring you back to the history of 150 years where there were bigger massive shootings then, bigger bombings then than there is now. What do we have that makes it different? We have everything, social media. Things come out very quick. Okay? For us, sometimes that's a disadvantage. What I want to take you through is some of the changes what is brought here today. Oklahoma City bombing, 1995. That's a big one, right? Everybody remembers that? That was a big one. All of a sudden we shifted this way. We're all worried about domestic terrorism. So what does law enforcement do? Right now we're writing stuff about not opioid epidemics, but other epidemics that you guys aren't even aware of. We try to stay ahead, we're about 2 years behind. So we all went into terrorism training. Then we shift and we have Columbine come, 1999. They didn't do anything wrong in Columbine. Columbine was the first time you actually had a live camera overhead and you saw cops standing on the outside of the school not going in. And what did we all say? Well, that's wrong. We got to go in and save those kids, right? So law enforcement shifted again. All right, we're gonna do active shooter, we're gonna do active shooter, we're gonna active shooter. That's all we train. 99, 2000, we run into buildings, we're shooting in buildings, we're doing stuff in schools. Boom, 2001 comes along and the towers go down. Active shooter goes the other way. We go to SWAT, we go, okay, we gotta train for terrorists. We're being attacked from another country. So now we assaulted planes. We did all sorts of training with the FBI. We wore more gas suits than you guys could believe. Walking around here, you got these cops. We're walking around in gas suits and you come in and you go, well, this is a contaminated area. Strip down and leave all your guns here. Okay, well, we don't have any others. Oh, I didn't think of that part. Okay, so remember the training goes that way. And then what happened? Virginia Tech, the big school shooting. Okay, that was a big one for law enforcement. Because one of the facts that most people don't know is he went there the day before and chained all the doors up. Chained all the doors up and went inside because he had a kill zone. What do we do now to keep our schools safe? We better lock all those doors, chain them all up. That scares law enforcement to death. Okay? We went in a shooting at Hug High School. We were there, and the janitor closed the gate in front of us because that was protocol and we couldn't come in. We obviously came in. Okay? That gate is not really that expensive. Okay, we will come in. But you see how we're morphing in training? We're trying to figure it out. We're not political. We're law enforcement. We're responders. Okay, but those are the things we have to work through. So now let's jump ahead. How many know about any active shooters that have taken place in Reno? Go ahead. Okay, that's a recent. Can you name any others? Because by the way, we have more per capita than a lot of cities in the whole nation.
That's nice.
Remember Carson City IHOP?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Is that an active shooter? Remember Sparks Middle School? Remember Pine Middle School? Pine Middle School is kind of near and dear to my heart because there was a sergeant named Keith Brown. We taught active shooter together. Never going by yourself. We had all these strict rules. Never do this. Well, that day of the shooting, his kid was in the school. And he stuck his gun in his coat and went running in there by himself. And him and I went, that's what's going to happen. Cops are human. They're not going to follow the rules. If your kids are in there, it's a small community. We're going to go. Okay? Keep going. What other shootings have we had? Remember Walmart? Where he went inside and he fired, and we had to make entry in there because we didn't know what was going on. He was pinned down the back. These are all active shooters, but they just drift away. Okay? Because they're not important. The montage. No one even talks about the montage shooting. We'll talk about it in detail. There was lots and lots of rifle rounds hitting the ground when we were coming there. Hitting the ground, but no one got hurt. So obviously he wasn't aiming at anybody, right? We don't believe that, okay? And we did a good job because what had just happened? Panic shooting. What were our SWAT teams preparing for? Because we're always behind, but they were prepared for it. We're not going to let him get on the balcony. We're not going to let him continue shooting. We're going to go up and make entry, and no one got hurt. So we're better but behind. So you understand how the training goes when it comes to active shooter? So it goes like that? That's the law enforcement side. That's what we do. Right now we're training for other things. Multiple locations. We'll talk about that when I go through the PowerPoint. We don't worry about one location. Okay? One location can be handled by one group of teams. Well, what about San Bernardino? Everybody knows that shooting, right? San Bernardino? Well, there's a couple facts you don't know. The night before they went in there and shot up the Christmas party, they placed an explosive in the room. And they drove round and round on the outside trying to shut it off when the cops were all there. Because that's what they're trying to do, draw them in and get us out of the way, and then go shoot elsewhere. So for us now, MACTAC training, or regional training, things like that I'll share with you. They're not secrets. You can go to YouTube and find all our stuff. Pretty amazing that way. Okay, we're training for the next one. We're trying to get things out of the way. So if we respond to your college, we also got to be thinking about everywhere else that we're responding to at the same time. All right, so everybody generally scared now? Saying that's where it is? Okay, so let's bring it back the other way. You're civilians. I'm not going to sit up here and lie to you and say I'm going to beat your school shooter here. We know where we're at, okay? We got helicopters, we got all sorts of stuff. We're always behind. We are always behind. Statistically, 3 to 4 minutes, that's where an active shooter is going to take place. We're not even close. Time it goes to the dispatch center, we're not even close. Ever notice on TV, you always see SWAT teams in an active shooter? Ever notice that? See the armored cars, all that? Parkland. Last one, you saw those armored cars and waving guys out? That's an hour later. That's an hour later. Frank Gamboa will tell you that SWAT is behind patrol. Okay? So we gotta do something for you guys to be safe or feel safe anyway. I call it the lock screen door. Okay? We all go to a lock screen door. I go to your house and I go, oh. I go, hey, I'm at the screen door, right? I don't kick the screen door in. Okay? We plan for the guy who kicks the screen door in. What I'm telling you is I want to give you a better way to lock your screen door. So in 2013, I made this video with Channel 8. It was actually nominated for some stuff that I was pretty proud of. My whole premise when I was making this, and believe me, I wasn't popular in the tactical world at the time, was cops ain't going to be there. Okay? They're not going to be there. It's not a perfect way. Right after I made this, Houston got $50,000 to make Run, Hide, Fight. Again, not financially astute. It would have been much better if I would have sold it to them. But I want you guys to watch this, and then we're going to open up some questions. Okay, make sense?
No one can predict when it will happen. Someone enters your place of business with just one thing on his mind.
I'm sorry, sir. I need to know who you're looking
Why
for.
would the cable locks the door now?
The sound of a very loud sound. I didn't know what it was instantly. Then I heard glass shattering and I saw the broken window, and I put two and two together and realized that something had just come through the window, and it struck me because at the same time I had a feeling on my body, and I realized that I'd been shot. I crawled out the door of my office. Law enforcement was there.
There was no need to respond. Law enforcement, marshals were already there.
But on average, law enforcement won't be in the building when an active assailant strikes with no notice, which means you're going to have to take action on your own or with your coworkers until help arrives.
There's no profile that we can give to the public that this is exactly what an active assailant looks like. It could be a person in a suit and tie. It could be a person with a jacket on. It could be a person with jeans. It could be male or female. So there's no clear definition as to what a person looks like. Law enforcement usually gets the call when this is going on after the fact. What we want to do is just inform the public as to options about running, about retreating to a hiding place, and about resisting.
The first option, run. It sounds like the most obvious. Run away from danger, leave your valuables, and head to the nearest exit that takes you out of the building.
They have formal attire, formal footwear. Understand that if you need to run, your best option may be to take off your shoes.
Avoid taking an elevator. Use stairwells instead. What awaits you outside may be out of the ordinary. Law enforcement with guns, even dogs. They will ask you to keep your hands visible. You may also hear them giving you directions to get out of harm's way. But what if you can't evacuate? Option 2. Retreat. Find a safe place to hide within the building out of the assailant's view.
Be out of the sight of the active assailant. Make yourself small. Hide in a closet. Lock the door. Turn off the lights. Anything that you can hide your person behind, whether it's on the side of a vending machine, behind the vending machine.
The idea is to hide and have something heavy in front of you, if possible, to protect you even further, like a door. If time permits, you can reconfigure your space to conceal yourself even further. If possible, call 911.
911 emergency duty.
Is this
Please
911?
Please state your emergency.
There's a guy in here and he's got a gun and I heard shots.
Use your best judgment. If a call to a loved one or friend at the time is appropriate, keep the conversation concise.
This is Amy. I'm at the office. We've had some problems down here. Yeah, there's a shooting. But no, don't come down here. It's all okay. I'm taken care of. I love you.
You may have to silence your phone after a 911 call. Remain quiet and calm. If you come to a locked door while looking for a hiding place, move on. There may be an instance, however, where your hiding place may be effective but provides no escape route. If the assailant is still active, the final R, resist, may be your last resort.
If you're going to act, do it as swiftly as possible. If you're going to act, if you're going to resist, have that element of surprise against this person. You have to be courageous, and you have to, if you decide to resist, you have to go for it as strongly, as confidently as you possibly can.
I got three things I'm going to...
When we explained the final option to the actors in our reenactment, we sent them out to find something, anything in the office they would use to resist their assailants.
I got a wipe and I'm spraying in the eye.
Grab the heavy duty stapler so that I can get one swing in on my way out.
I'm going to use this to whack him in whatever possible place I can get him.
Understand that this person is fully armed. At this time, you've already heard a sound or several sounds of gunfire. This person may have other weapons as well. So find something that you can use that can help protect you, to defend yourself.
A pair of chairs laid on their sides, intertwined, placed in front of the door can obstruct the assailant's movement, allowing you and even your co-workers to use makeshift weapons to overwhelm the threat. What you're about to see is not scripted, rather the actors working a scenario together to resist the threat.
No, it was really scripted.
Law enforcement will arrive on scene, but it's important to remember what they look like and how they respond may be foreign to you.
They may not look like what I'm dressed in. They may not have a uniform presence. There is a chance that a team may move past you, especially if there is still sounds of gunfire.
It means medical teams and others will follow to help you once it's safe to do so.
Now, listen to me. There's people.
While these actors from Integrity Casting spent most of the day playing out the run, retreat, resist scenarios, at the end of the day, most of them told us there was really no acting required.
And it surprised a lot of people. It surprised them on how they were going to react. It surprised them on if they were going to step forward or if they were going to step back. And so it made a lot of people think about who they are and how they're going to actually deal with a situation like that.
I think in the beginning, I was more standing in the back, just, playing it safe. Towards the end, as things got more dramatic, and we knew that we had to get this guy. We had to resist him. It was our life or his life.
All right, I'm going to cut it there because then they become great thespians. It was great for them to come and act for me and all that. A couple things about that video, and we did it on purpose. We had a closed training center in a hallway. You saw those bangs when they were running? We actually threw flashbangs behind them and didn't tell them that because I wanted to see what it was going to happen. And you'd be surprised how fast people can move when you throw a flashbang behind them. Okay? There's no way to recreate that. I wish I could, but for those little moments, and we had our own, I wanted to see what people did. Believe me, they were moving fast, but they were literally pulling people out of the way. They were all buddies. I was like, oh, I got to get out of here. I got to get out. So you see, there's some things that we can do, all right? Remember, that's 5 years ago. You'll hear all the naysayers say, oh, you can do this, you can do this. There's no perfect way. There's nothing I can teach you that's going to be perfect. But it's going to be up to you, some of it. Not all of it, but some of it's going to be up to you, all right? Phones have become a big, big issue, all right? There are abilities for us to disrupt phones and shut them down. And some of the reason for that is because we can't get our communications in or out when everybody's calling. Schools are the worst, of course, not a college campus, but when you have a grade school, that's why they're such great terrorist targets, they know all the parents are going to come. And that slows our response down because then you're spending more time trying to count kids and pair them with the parents than deal with the other, all right? I know you've had some roundtables and discussions before, but for you guys, I want some of your feedback, and none of this is to change your policies with your school, but this is a little different animal than we usually teach, because you have adults here, and you have college students here, and you'll find one thing. College students, we did one at Minogue years back, and we literally live fired in the hearing, and the students didn't know. The teachers knew, and the parents knew. You should see the tough kids that are hanging on SWAT guys when they make entry. So don't expect all these college students to step up and be superheroes. All right, we give that false sense. They're just kids, okay? Some of them are just young kids, and I'm talking 30 and under. It's not normal, okay? If you didn't react that way, you'd be a sociopath. You're going to be scared, and you're going to do things different. But if we don't talk about it ahead of time, you're not going to know what to do. So your policy's wise now. Do you pull the fire alarm or don't you?
I think it depends on the situation.
Okay, so, perfect. When do we pull the fire alarm? I wasn't gonna let you off that
I
either.
would say you would pull the fire alarm if you know that it's contained to another building and you're trying to get everyone out of your building and away.
Mhm.
But if it's happening in your building, your best chance is to shelter. And so pulling the fire alarm tells people that they need to get up and get out, which can make them targets.
So, in a more adult world like this, you pull the fire alarm, what do people do?
Sit there.
Yeah, it's gotta be a drill, right? It's like, or they put their head under their chair, make it go away. Either way, I got this test. Little kids, if you pull a fire alarm, orderly line up and head right out. That wasn't so good at Parkland, okay? Because we just sent them all in the kill zone because they were all supposed to lock down and stay in the doors. I like using that one for the small kids because you notice the teachers that open the doors? You didn't open the doors, or the teachers? The teacher's a hero because he opened the door. The other one's in trouble because he kept the door closed. Who followed the policy? Supposed to keep the door closed, right? You know, so we gotta look at these things instead of writing them down. For you, I would encourage you as a group to get together, like the conversation you're having. That would be different. But if I wrote the policy and said schools always should pull the fire alarm, I would say here I would in a heartbeat because it gets people's attention and that noise disruption throws off the bad guys and lets us know. For us, if we're flying in here, we don't work here all the time. We're going to not know this area. But if we hear the fire alarm, we head to one thing. Cops head to the sound of violence. That's what we get paid to do. So if we hear a fire alarm over here and we hear other people, we're not going to go where kids are screaming or running, or you guys are screaming and running. We're going to the sound of violence. So it will direct us there.
Yeah, the fire alarm thing is, I do security on the weekends here. And, you pull the fire alarm, it's more like everybody yawning, like it's a big inconvenience, especially during the winter.
Absolutely.
And especially when you guys go up, I've talked to a couple of you guys, when it's been a false alarm.
Mhm.
You guys know the scenario, and it's like, sometimes you guys aren't really happy you gotta come out here. Because you already have your mind made up that.
Well, some cops just aren't happy. You can understand some cops, you can hand them a gold brick and they complain. It's too
Right,
heavy. That just comes
don't
with
get me wrong, I'm not complaining about their attitude.
Yeah, no.
You got a fine attitude, but for me, in my mind, I'm just thinking that, if I heard the fire alarm, I wouldn't be thinking that for sure.
All right, so do we have another alarm here?
We have our E2 campus.
Okay.
Navigation system.
yeah.
And what does that do?
So basically,
I know what it does, but yeah.
for our campus, basically, we use it for emergencies and so, and also for snow days. But basically, it's.
There you go.
Yeah.
Can't use emergency stuff for other stuff. We do it every school. UNR
Yeah.
does it too.
But with actually the snow days, actually gets people to look at it because they're pretty excited to see this.
Good point. I didn't think of that. Good point. But most of it is tech now. We're doing reverse 911s and we're hitting up their phones and all that because of ways to work. But we're forgetting about our old school. The old alarm that was on the beach. Loud, okay? The earthquake warnings and all that. We've eliminated those through technology. It's one of the cheapest fixes you can do for any campus. If you say this goes off, you go here. No other policy, no other problems. This goes off, you go here. That's it. It's not going to be perfect. And of course, somebody might learn about it, the bad guy, the conspiracy theories. Well, he's going to do the horn and then he's going to go, there's nothing we can do. It's just like ambush training for cop. I get very irritated when we teach ambush training. If somebody wants to ambush you, there's nothing you can do about it. Okay? There's just nothing you can do about it. With these, we can't predict every scenario. But I would suggest, especially for this campus the way it's laid out, to have some sort of alternate mechanical alarm that will come out. Just something to think about. They're cheap, easy to do. You got air horns, you got bear horns, you got all sorts of stuff like that. They're easy to do. This place is different. So, we send out that reverse. Comes out to your group. Everybody gets it here. What's it going to say?
Active shooter shelter in place.
Okay? All right. Does it have any other options?
Well, basically, our policy is, just like you guys were talking about in the video, if you can say what building it is in, it will
Right.
say, active shooter TCS. And then people should know that probably if you're in TCS, you need to shelter in place. If you're not in the TCS, you need to run.
Right, right. But that's what I'm saying is it gets that out. We got it first.
Yeah.
Shelter in place is going to become, we're training against shelter in place now.
Yeah.
I know that sounds bad, but
Yeah.
sometimes I can tell you when my kids were little, I told them to throw something through the window and just start running.
Yeah.
They'll pick up a teenager that's just running. Some cop will pick you up. I'll get you later. Okay? Now that was very unpopular and schools do different things.
Yeah.
So just consider lots of stuff like that in warnings. Maybe shelter in place is passe. Maybe. Okay? It's your campus. You may not want a shelter in place. Okay? We're always thinking active shooter. If you notice, most of my stuff is active assailant. The worst school problems were fires and bombs and things in the early days. So sheltering in place with a fire or bomb, probably not a good thing. So with active assailant, we got to think bigger. I know it's bad, but we have to think bigger to where it goes, right? So now you've sheltered in place, all right? And the reason I'm talking through this is because you guys are just going to talk to the college students. Shelter in place, how do we give the all clear? Cops got to come, there. So that's back where you see the SWAT guys where I was talking about. Okay, they're already done. So what do we do as law enforcement? We now are bringing the searchers in, very tactical searchers. They're great at looking for bad guys and everything else. We'll bring dogs for bombs and all that. But all the people that you know have just left. All the incline deputies that you know, all the first responders, everything has left. So that's one of the things we're trying to fix. If you're first there, you're first stay. Because those are the people that know you and they're here in the building. You see it a lot on TV. They all leave and people are like, oh, we got to get a list. That's because somebody arrives who's not from your local group. So we need your help with that too. It's beyond the old, okay, one person has the keys. You know, Washington School Districts, that was a policy at one time. Only person who had the keys was us and the principal. I hated going to the principal's office. Even with a rifle, I wasn't going to go there and get the keys. But outside, there's a Knox device by the fire department. It has a master key in there. I taught a class to firemen. They said, that's a misdemeanor if you break that. You're not allowed to get in there. I guarantee our SWAT team breaks that first and gets the keys. So forget about we need the keys from you. We got ways to open all the doors. So you're sheltered in place. Now what do? Where are you going to go after you come out? Say 5 hours were passed. We got everybody out. Threats neutralized. Everybody's in panic. What's your regroup plan to know who was here and who wasn't here? That's what takes law enforcement the most time, is trying to count the bodies.
So we have updated academic schedules that are updated every semester, and so people over here actually sends those out to our building managers. And so the idea that once that all clear is we go through the classroom schedule for, if this took place on Thursday at 10 a.m., we flip to those pages, see who's supposed to be in each classes, and we start trying to check people out.
Okay, I came in today, nobody put my name down there. I guess I'm a victim.
As a guest, yeah.
Okay, see what I'm getting at? We give one entrance in. These guys are honored. Okay, we're not going to come look for them until their wives start calling. See what I'm getting at?
Yeah.
We always have those predefined lists, and they're great because that saves us a lot of time, especially in schools. We want to find kids first. After that, I'll deal with the adults. Sorry, my dad always raised me with that. Kids are great, people suck. Okay? I like kids and dogs. Okay, and I'm the same way with your college students. I'll go get them first, and then we'll find you guys later. Okay, but think of that next step. If we're really going to do a central entrance point like Washington School Districts are going to do and everything else, if you don't have a true visitor log or true that, we don't really know who's here, right? Maintenance, I guarantee you there'll be 30, 40 people working on here and we don't know who's here at all. Not just for finding them later, but that helps in our investigation. Who's been here 4 or 5 times? Who's come here before? Who's a returning student? Who's that? So now we're flipping into, I've given you some ideas of what you can do to improve your guys' place. What can we do to prevent these? Well, that's one school of thought. I never like to think of that as nothing, okay? They're hard, all right? And it's very hard for us in law enforcement. And Josh is a very decorated detective. Worked homicide for a long time. You guys are lucky to have him up here because you can pick his brain way more schooled at me than those things. But, oh, that's a crazy person. He's crazy. Everybody knows Crazy Joe. He's crazy. Sent the cops to his house. He's crazy. We go to the door and he looks at me and goes, Sergeant Jones, I'm thinking about shooting up the college. As soon as I get out of this house, I'm going to shoot up the college. What can we do? The press will have you tell you that we can pull them away because they're crazy and they're reported, okay? If I was able to arrest all crazy people, half the cops be gone, okay, and half the others be gone. There's no law that prevents crazy. Okay, so I think it's really unfair where the FBI gets attacked where it's like, well, you knew about this person. Little secret, FBI is way smaller in this town, Reno on that, than we are. Way smaller. We do most of their narcotics operations. We do a lot of operations. They do a lot of things very, very well. They have good intel, but they're not going and knocking on somebody's door when they fail the background. Okay? Everybody knows in this state we voted last year that if you sold a gun, you had to register it, go down to a gun store and put it in there, right? That doesn't happen because we put the law in there. That's great. And the FBI said, because we have to run it through their database. So it's great to put those laws and those things in place. They just make you feel better. They're not stopping anything. So you branch off to that emotionally disturbed person. Who is not emotionally disturbed if you shoot up anywhere in public? I mean, really, think about it. We'd hope that's not a normal person that goes to a place like that. So I think it does a disservice, me personally, to a lot of people that are emotionally disturbed to just categorize them that they're all bad people and they're going to go shoot off. So what else can we do to prevent it? We can harden the building. We can do that. I have my great idea. I know what Marines are when they're about 18 years old. They're all gung-ho. And then by the time they're 22, they're like, I want to get out of here. So what if we took Marines, we trained them up to defend schools and said, hey, we'll cut 1 year off your training and you still get your GI Bill. I bet we could stack one or two other school. Just a thought. Okay? And I guarantee an 18 and 19-year-old doesn't care. He'd defend your school just fine. He'd be more than happy to do it. We did it with the air marshals. We got air marshals on there. For the love of God, for a while they had retired cops on there. Not good. Okay, cops don't shoot well in general. Now we're flying in this capsule down the thing and you're looking at a guy over there. It's like, oh, just stop. Now they hire younger people right out of the military and they put them on the planes. So we evolve, we learn. I think we're going to have to do that too. Your guys' prevention. This is a very open campus. I don't know what your camera system's like, but remember cameras are great for afterwards. Okay, they're great for afterwards. That's when I was in the gang unit very heavy, we used to put cameras to defeat graffiti. That's awesome. Got to be painting there for like an hour. I've got a 15-year-old with a hoodie on. Got him. Just put him to facial recognition. I got him for sure. Okay, cameras are good for after the fact, but where cameras should be used is your entrance points. Because then when we come in, and entrance points, we're very good at tapping into cameras. We can see who went in that door within the last 20, 30 minutes. And now we look for what a bad guy that we're looking for. So consider something like that. They're cheap, $250, Home Depot. Every cop, he has young children, the door opens, bing, his camera goes off, and he can talk to his kid. All right as he comes in. But here, no, we don't have that. Let's go get one of those little doorbell dingers right next to the visitor log. Ding, there's his face, okay? And you can pump that to the substation, you can pump there anywhere you want. Just something to maybe not defeat, but at least give us some more information. What else can we do up here at your big open campus?
I think one of the things that we have going for us is that we're very small.
Mm-hmm.
And so we see some of the same people every single day. And when someone new is there, it's actually very noticeable for
Yep.
us. And so just staying observant and staying aware of
Mm-hmm.
people, actions, mannerisms, things like that.
Oh, I agree. And that's all stuff that we need to do. I love the catchphrase, see something, say something, okay? But that literally lights off the phone to like 1,500 calls. They're kind of like 911 calls to us. We try to take every one of them seriously. But we live next to 916, which is Sacramento. So people, I was just calling my friend in Sacramento. But we got to go to all of those. So I agree with you, but where do we funnel that? You're segueing perfectly. Where do I go? You got that information, okay? Where would you funnel that?
I would either funnel it up to my supervisor or to someone like Will,
Good.
who's our emergency, someone who's on our emergency.
Okay, but you've got a person hanging around. Where should you funnel it? Your resident deputy, okay? Those are calls that can be. Those are called suspicious person calls or suspicious car calls. We go to those because you know why? Those are where the violent crimes start. Cops don't go to a place and go, there's a bank robbery. Always want to do that. Show up in their B1, drop it. It doesn't work that way.
Every cop thinks at the bank.
Every cop's there at the bank. Okay, so you need to trickle that to local law enforcement. He can do that. You're lucky that way. You have a small community. You also have resident deputies. There was a time when they had a whole group up here. I personally want that back. I didn't get you a doggy. Okay, if we had deputies up here, we'll get you to do that. That just comes with money. We all think, the deputies and the sergeants and all of us think that's a good idea. I love local policing. That's what being a deputy sheriff with 6,500 square miles. the size of our county, is all about, having people in Gerlach, having people in Incline. But you gotta funnel it, not just to administrators, get it to them so we can get out there and ID that guy, get his picture, get him in the system. We have a good NRIC, an intelligence center, but until we put anything in there, it just stops. Okay, we have to send that info, and literally the people who are sending that info is not the FBI, not the watch list, not the 1-800 numbers, it's your local deputies.
So I mean, I guess to part of that, what's something that escalates to that point? Is it just like, ooh, I have a bad gut feeling about this person?
I'll use this.
They've never been here, I don't know, like they're suspiciously watching people. I mean, at what point does it get bumped up?
I will tell you that, only you would know that, okay? I can tell you that if you see a Mercedes in the hood, we'll pull it over. Okay? We see a junk car in a rich neighborhood, we pull it over. We profile things that don't look right, but we know what doesn't look right in different neighborhoods. You guys know what don't look right in your group. Like you said, you know who belongs here or doesn't belong here, right? So if you have somebody that's not here and then you ask around, I don't know that guy. He's supposed to be working on whatever, I don't know that guy. That's when you trick it up. There's no perfect answer. You know, you can't overdo it by sending up information, but this is where I want to start, is I want you to get a hold of the local authorities, because they're the ones that are gonna do the work. They're the ones that come out there with the FI, take the guy's picture, write his name down. Technology's good. Every time they write you a ticket, now they got your picture. Because some of the faces are pretty funny. No, that's not really what we do. But literally, when they do that, it's so we have that intel information. This person was at that point, this time of the day. And we can go back and search all of that. But it doesn't do any good unless we know, hey, this is the person we're looking for. So smaller community, perfect. Before we break, because everybody likes to break, it's Friday morning. Before we break, what's one more thing that I noticed right when I came in this campus that you guys think you can do? It's your campus. I'll give you some hints. It's big, it's open, got a lot of trees, a lot of different stuff. Firemen coming in and out of here all the time, okay, for their different things, for false alarms and all that. Have we reached out to the people that come here all the time? Because not only you lives on the campus. Fireman comes here, the water company comes here, all your utilities come here. And guess what? Those guys are nosy Nellies. They are. It's like your UPS guy. Guarantee you, he knows every one of you by face. That's who he is. He's the UPS guy. Reach out to those people, and they'll be a good source of information, or at least to help you confirm who's off. Let's take 10 minutes. You guys are welcome to come up and talk offline, and then we'll get to some other stuff, and I'll get you where it's not all doom and gloom. We are doing some stuff well. Okay? All right. So we're to that point now is you've already, we have some problems, we have some things, we have some opportunities, what we can do. So that's kind of the civilian end of it. Where it's got to meld is you guys have to have confidence in your police force. Okay, if you don't have confidence in the first responders coming, and trust me, we travel a lot in this country, there's towns where I got no confidence. I'm like, I'll just take a bat. You guys don't respond. Okay? West Coast gets more training than anybody besides like New York or Maryland and those places. You compare those big departments, Baltimore, let's take Baltimore. Huge department, right? They shoot their weapons once every 3 years because they can't get 3,000 or 4,000 people through the range. Think of the logistics. You put them there every day, you couldn't do it. Okay? Our training in this area for Washington County, Reno, Sparks, Carson City, all that is higher level than a lot of the other places. The cow counties, as we call them, out there, they're out there, Humboldt and all that, they come to us for training. We provide that type of training. Our SWAT team goes all over the state, not just to do the calls, but so they can help them with training. So the resources are there. In 2014, we got in a room which was a great brawl with every police agency from Nevada, northern Nevada, because Vegas does their thing. And we came out with an active shooter response plan. All right? You should have seen the arguments. You should have seen the back and forth, the personals. Finally, somebody who's no longer a chief at Reno, but was a strong personality, hushed them like we did here and goes, this is not what we're here for. You guys are missing the point. Okay? You can argue tactics, he said, over a beer at the bar. This is active shooter training for a cop. Frankie Gamboa comes behind me and steps. A round goes off. Boom. If he steps forward and I step forward, your training's over. You either go or you don't go. What happened in Parkland? He didn't go. So we put so much in tactical training that we got away from the basic concept. Not every cop's a hero. Not every cop wants to go toward those type of things. It's a misnomer. They're not like the military where it's pounded and drilled into you in boot camp so you do it reactively without thinking. Cops, we do a lot of thinking in the academies, which I think is a good thing. But some of them think, you know what, if there's an active shooter, I ain't going. That's just a fact. So we came up with a regional plan because we know some people will go, some people will hold the perimeter. That's just the way it is. If you expect everybody to go like we did in our earlier training, you're going to be disappointed and you're going to get kids killed. That's just a fact. So once we got it all agreed on, it took us about a year, we came up with 3 things that were our biggest problems. Vegas calls it MACTAC. We call it this huge, long, it's RARP, I never get it right, okay? But it's Regional Active Shooter Protocol. We all agreed to it. We had them have them all sign it, kind of like, you know, small children. Put your thumbprint here, that means you're going to do it. The biggest thing we had was communications. And it's still to this day, the Montage, it was a big problem. When you come there, the first team is going to go get bad guys. They will play themselves out. We spent years arguing with, should you take 2? Should you take 3? Should you take 4? Well, 2 is the perfect number. Again, we're back to the bar, arguing with the tactics. It doesn't matter. If you're in Gerlach, you got 1 deputy and there's a shooting in the school, we got 1 deputy. He's got to go. If we're down here and we got 25 deputies, I'd look down the line and I'll take 5 of them. Those are just facts, the way it is. So we knew communication's a problem because somebody's going to go and not go. So the way it works for us is we have 1 set channel that works for everyone in the whole state up here. When there's enough people doing the assault and heading toward the bad guy, the sound of violence, whatever buzzword you want to use, they will go Washoe, Reno, Sparks, whoever has command and control dispatch at the time, they'll go switch, switch, switch. And everybody else that responds that's not in the hot zone switches to another channel. All right? Some people, like I told you, are happy to switch, right? They're like, ooh, didn't make it in time. I'll be on the perimeter. That doesn't mean they're worthless. But what happens is everybody converges, everybody stays on the same channel, and you know what our radio sounds like? Wah, wah, wah. The San Bernardino shooting, nobody could get out for over an hour after the shooting because they were all on that channel. It's pointless to have a channel if you can't talk on it. So that was the number 1 thing, switch, switch, switch. Okay? Number 2 is you can't have rank control the assault. Okay? Military knows this for years. You don't wait for the general to hit. Okay? You'll have a captain that might be 22 years old. He's making a decision for 18 and 19-year-olds. Where we get slow is having them back. So the first responding guy there that takes tactical command, it would probably be a SWAT guy or somebody else, he'll literally say, I have tactical command. He outranks everybody. And I can tell you in cop world, it falls naturally. They look around and they're like, thank God he's here. He's a guy you never have over your house, but he's good at this. Let's have him do this. It's just non-communicational. So that was the other thing we found. He'll take tactical command, he'll go in the hot zone, and he'll control that. We did that well at the Montage. Okay? There were a lot of people talking, a lot of big ranks, but they were across the street, which was good. And that person took tactical command and set it up pretty quick. It was one of our biggest wins. Okay? A lot of people could have got killed in that when they didn't. So the third thing is, what do we do with fire? What do we do with the bomb squad? Believe me, this came out. Where do we put the therapy dogs? This was the type of room we had. We got to get therapy dogs there right away for the officers and the people and all that. We're like, I'm all into that. I'm a dog guy. Well, can we wait till after the gunfight to get the therapy dogs here? So we realized everybody's going to be in one place. So we had to stage them somewhere else. The big argument now, and you'll see it on the news, is do the TAC medics go in with the officers in the hot zone so they can save people along the way? It's a great debate. Okay? We've had TAC medics since 2005. They go on our stack, they're already geared up, just like the SWAT guys. They'll be there just as much as any other tactical guy. They're not with the patrolman, they're not there. We can't have basic firemen, in my opinion, basic firemen, basic ambulance operators going in a gunfight because now they become part of our problem. I'd love to say it's a mass. We would get up, or these guys tactically would get up and hold it, and then we would bring them to behind us and we'll take care of them. But if you don't stop the sound of violence, you don't stop the threat, there's going to be more killing going on. I already told you it's 3 to 4 minutes. You can kill a lot of people in that amount of time, depending on what you're doing and how you're doing it and how you funnel. If you don't stop that threat, medics aren't going to help. Now, we have done some things. We all carry tourniquets, which we've saved lots and lots of people with. So SWAT guys will come by and paste it off and keep going. We saved a lot of lives. Tourniquets were bad for a while. Put a tourniquet on your leg. It's kind of like swimming. You know, you can't go swimming until you stay out of the pool for 30 minutes. You'll just go in there and drown. Tourniquets were the same way. If you put a tourniquet on, their leg's going to fall off. Well, I'm pretty sure it's got a big bullet hole in it. If I don't do something about it, it's going to fall off anyway. So now we all carry tourniquets, we all do that, and we do that type of stuff. So that was the other problem, the other things. So this is what we teach the academy. Remember, that's not the veteran officers who know everything and don't pay attention. They're a lot tougher to teach. The academies absorb it. So we ran it kind of past them. This is what we do, okay? First thing that's going to happen when you get there is there's going to be mass panic, okay? And the information is always wrong. We all played the phone game, right? You ought to play the phone game through 3 dispatchers, somebody who's getting shot at, and I saw the guy. Every active shooter you heard, they're always looking for the second guy, right? When there's no second guy. Because everybody looks at it. He was in a gray sweatshirt, cowboy boots, and glasses. Perfect. The next guy will come over there. He had a hoodie and jeans. He had brown hair, and he was tall. So now we're looking for 3 different guys. So expect when we arrive, that's what we tell the cops, you're going to get bad information. The only good information you have is when you hear boom, you head toward that. Literally, in training, our cops, you'll hear stop, boom. They'll go that way. Boom. They're trying to head toward the sound of violence. That's the only good information that the torpedo teams have. So we know that's going to happen. People are panicked. Both sides, people are panicked. People are coming to help us, and the people that are in the building that are panicking. We can't tell you apart. We don't know who's coming out of the building, who's going in there. So you literally, you see that coming at you, you literally got to look past that with your weapon and go right through it and look for the bad guy. See some problems with that? We're now pointing guns at people. We're now trying to search you on the way by. I'm not a big fan of civilians pulling out a gun in an active shooter, because my guys will shoot you. They ain't a heartbeat. If you're an undercover cop, you're dressed like me, and not placarded up, you will get shot. That's just the way it is. They will shoot anybody that's near that scene. We're trying to save you. We don't have time to break it out. It's going to happen. Okay? So they know to expect panic. These are all the fancy words. Basically what it is over conversion, too many people going in the hot zone. If we were coming into this school, this building right here, I wouldn't want any more than 6, 7 guys. That's it, just blow through this building. Any more, it's too slow. Now that'd be per building. If we have 30 guys coming in here, you ought to hear the radio traffic. Just search that room. Yep, we're going back to search that room. That room's unsearched. Okay, we're in that room. Can you bring the dogs to that room? Okay, we stop right here. We don't get anything done. Sometimes over-convergence hurts. Communication breakdowns, we're trying to get past that with our channel change, but it's still going to be there. It's still happening in montage. There was too many different things. Poor echoing location of shots. How many here, and some have heard a subsonic round, a rifle, compared to a handgun round? Well, we teach that in the academy. You hear the whiz crack, get back. You hear the boom thump, go forward. Okay? But people don't know, so they hear those rounds, and when they echo in a building, it's very hard to tell where they're coming from. Okay? You're shooting from an elevated platform. Vegas didn't try to do anything wrong. They just couldn't find out because it was whiz crack over the top, whiz crack. So they were all looking this way because they didn't know that they were coming from here. So our cops, we do our best. We train them. We shoot over their heads. We make them go through that. Military guys easy, but the others not so much. So they're going to be confused on where they come from. It's an unfamiliar environment. I had to call Josh today to know which driveway to turn in. All right. So now take my heart rate up to about 180. Carrying a subgun, running behind what I consider my kids, all that. Oh, we got this, Sarge, get your old ass out of the way. They don't say that on the radio, but that's what they think. But literally, I'm running in and you're trying to get in here like, we're going to be lost. It's unfamiliar territory, period. Do we got maps at every entrance of the buildings?
Yes.
Okay? So, think the bad guy might use those? Good guys might use those? But you see what I'm saying? It's a way out. We're not going to stop the map. We're going to use our phone because we're real smart. Locate me back and forth. Did you ever try to do that up here where there's no service? I'm in Reno. Damn it. Okay? So those are the things that our cops have to face. Crowded, confusing scenes. Okay? We know they're going to be confusing, so when do you start being a cop, getting information from people, and when do you just start heading toward the shooter? We spend a lot of time training our guys on that. Some people, I can tell you, sounds bad, but if you've been a cop for a while, there's some people you want to talk to get information, and some you don't. The ones I want to talk to are not talking. Okay? The one that wants to run up there and tell my story, he's going to give me some useless crap. Get out of my way, I don't have time for you. The one who's looking at you and looks away, I'm going to go right toward that person. What did you see? Because you know they saw something. They don't want to say a darn thing because they know they saw something. They saw, they just don't know how to get it out. You just saw somebody get shot. You think they're going to run over and go, Excuse me, Sergeant, I saw somebody get shot, I'd like to give you a physical description. I don't want to talk to that guy. Okay? You want to talk to the one that's looking at this a little bit stunned. That's your good witness. So those are who the cops should be taught to look for. Okay, undercover or plainclothes officers are at extreme risk. We'll go over that when this is off, okay? We've always tried to look at, we used to say you couldn't go in unless you had a full uniform. Well, think how it looked like Parkland. If you didn't have a full uniform on, you didn't go in. Okay? Do we know what their policy is? I mean, I might, but maybe they didn't go in because their policy says you can't go in if you don't have a full uniform. So we have to use the old school, the color of the day or something like that to identify people. We're working toward that. We haven't settled on that because, believe it or not, people will have a fist fight over the argument of a windbreaker. We wanted to put really bright windbreakers on, like a neon, like pink or something like that, and you'd know those were the cops. Okay, if you saw those running around, it'd be easy for me. I'd stand on the building and go, "Whew, there's way too many Skittles over here. There's some Skittles over there. There's a whole bunch of them." But people are still debating that. That's just law enforcement and government in general. So when we get that, I think it'll be better, but understand, there's no way you're going to keep out anybody. If they have a family member and all that, they're going to be in jeans. I was at the Montage in a Rams jersey, and a flak vest, and pants. And I know that because one of my guys was going to pull me out by my feet because he thought I was shot laying on the ground. I'm like, stop it. I'm actually aiming a rifle, okay? But we try to use identifying stuff, but there's no way. Cops are going to go. They're going to go. And there'll be a blue on blue shot someday. But when we teach the kids, don't go if you got plain clothes, don't got this. But you understand the narrative now? When you saw Parkland, you saw those people with just their throw-on vest that were probably different cops from different agencies, from different stuffs, and they might have held out. Maybe they didn't hold out because they were cowards. Maybe they held out because that's the way they teach regionally. I don't know. I do, but I'm not saying. Okay, and that's the blue on blue. That's what we always, our biggest nightmare as cops. Cops are not really hardened individuals as people think. Okay, every critical incident takes a toll on people. I always say my guys, when they get in a shooting, I lose 2 people. The person that got shot and you lose that cop's never going to be the same. If that cop was the same, then he's a sociopath. We don't need him on the street. It's not a natural act to take somebody's life. So you lose 2 people. But can you imagine if you shoot another cop or shoot a kid on a hostage rescue and all that? That's our biggest fear. We'd rather wait, hold, and take a round before we'll hit a kid or hit another cop. So that's what we try to instill to the younger kids. It's like, you'll be there. It'll take them a while, but they'll be there. All right, so first thing we do, incident response, scene stabilization, sustained operations, recovery. And we take that all away, and here's what we do. The first guys who get there, go and try to shoot the bad guy. Neutralize the threat, you'll see all this. No, really, they're just going trying to shoot the bad guy. I don't care if he has a bomb. I don't care if he's driving a car. You guys forgot about the guy who drove through traffic at the Wing Festival and shot up Irina? You think he was just lost? Okay, probably not. Okay? We will shoot at whatever or stop whatever threat there is. That's what the first team's there for. The next one is the toughest job. Steams, I don't want to be that guy. I really like to be the guy that runs a team or something like that. I don't want to be that guy. That's a nightmare. He's going to be coordinating fire, coordinating bomb squad, and try to keep the whole other city protected all at one time. That is going to be the crappiest job in the whole thing. Third job, sustained operations. This is where we make a mistake. Because command staff shows up and they know how to do fires protocol. Fire's getting bigger, call more fire trucks. Fire's getting smaller, need less fire trucks. Our command staffs from other agencies the same way. Do we need more guys and all that? They are in that mode. We haven't even finished the job yet. They are already starting to count people when people are running out of the buildings. So that's the hardest part for them and our guys to coordinate. So number 2 is going to be total. Recovery is totally different. Parkland's still recovering. Montage still recovering. The people from there. So that's after the fact. And we do it horribly. We don't get our people any psychological help. We don't get witnesses. There's people taking gunfire right past them. And we're all about worried about lawsuits, worried about that. You've got to provide people to help them. Lord, help us if we had some sort of active thing here. But your number one thing for the next 30 days is you got to help these kids get past that. If not, we're just building that cycle to build another one. And we got to really worry about the kid who's not bothered by it, right? Okay? Or the adult that's not bothered by it. That worries me more than the ones that are bothered by it. So we do that very poorly, the recovery. We do it poor in law enforcement, we do it poor in the military. You get cleared, you're off the rubber gun squad, you're good to go, you're all that. It's because you're all in a blur, you don't know what happened. But 6 months later, 9 months later, you have problems. So we got to work on the recovery part. We're really good at the first 2, the next 3, or the next 2 not so much. All right, this is the disclaimer, follow your agency's tactical, because we teach a lot of different people. Absolutely no self-deployment. What did I just tell you about the guy Gerlach? You think he's gonna wait? Takes about an hour and 4 minutes to do 90 miles. Okay, that's if you can get around the cows. You gotta go real fast. You're not gonna be there in time, it'll be way over. So he's gonna self-deploy. Okay, it just happens. It's just one of those things that the legalese or narcolepsy teach the academy. Notified dispatching, see the switch. Bottom line, what do you think about that? That's that old argument. Do you bring the medicals in the hot zone or don't you? It's going to be somebody's decision. Hopefully that guy that was squared away right at the front. If there's a whole bunch of people bleeding out and they're going to die before we get to the other guy and there's no sounds of violence, we got to stop and get them all out. The bad guy's not worth it. We call it the priorities of life. Every cop call, every SWAT call is priorities of life. There's a hostage, we'll get shot. There's innocent civilians, we'll get shot. But if it's us and then the bad guy, we don't put ourselves, the bad guy, ahead of them. So if we're looking for that bad guy, people are hostages. Everybody's getting shot as a hostage. Are they free to leave? They're not free to leave. They're hunkering down to whatever their hostage is. And innocent civilians are the ones laying on the ground bleeding out. So we can't continue to go after that bad guy when we can help the innocent civilians. But those are things we're going to have to teach and we're going to have to go. Okay? And if you follow the stuff, follow along. These are mistakes that we're still making across the country, but we're getting better. All right, we're just going to go through it real quick, because firemen like pictures. That was their part. Phase 2, overall command. Like I said, the jurisdictional chief will establish immediate staging area and outside perimeter. Regional chief command will be at the strategic command post. I'm kind of proud of that, because the command post is always like 2 miles away. I think I made it clear where I want that command staff. They need to be away, so that's good. But we drive up and we put the command post right there. If you looked at Parkland, they had the boom cam man, and then they had 2 armored cars behind the command post. It's pretty tough to be in charge if you're a sergeant, if you've got chiefs and everybody out there in there. So our thing is we put them away. They can do what they need to do on the phone. All right, so adopted 2014, everybody signed it. We have improved since then on a couple different things. We have improved because we made mistakes and dispatch was overrun. We didn't think about dispatch, even though they were there on theirs. Say the primary person, the school dispatcher, is where the shooting is. The way the protocol was written, and I'm family dispatcher, so I get it. They went, well, the initial one has the school. The school dispatch is about the size of that desk. And they have a radio, and they're talking to other schools. Our emergency operations center has 20 to 30 dispatchers in it, and can override them with a push of the button. But we've done that a couple times now. We've let, well, that's it. So we've improved that now. EOC will literally take it over. Reno and Washoe will come together and they'll man it, put it on the board. That's a big thing for us because I felt sorry for that person. They can't dispatch. We got 40, 50 units coming on and they're used to 3 or 4. And we have call signs they've never heard before. So that's a huge improvement for us. How we respond into places tactically has improved. There's nothing we can't breach anymore. Okay, I can't go into details just because there's certain things we do, but I can tell you our SWAT guys, there's no door that you can fortify that we can't get through anymore, and we can get through fast. And we're not afraid to wreck cars, not afraid to ram things through windows or do all that. It took a while to get past that. Believe it or not, there's certain agencies that are worried about, this car's expensive. They always park their car way away and all that. No, you train kids now, 25, 30 years old, to drive through windows and that, they think it's pretty cool. They will do that. There's nothing that's not breachable. So with that, when we want to fortify the schools, it doesn't scare me as much. If they want to fortify them, they want to put them in and lock it, make one entrance, that's fine. Because we're not coming in the front door. Just a little secret, the way the bad guy goes in is not the way we go. Okay? We're not going that way. Why would we run through the door and follow his path? Well, we're going to go where he's going to be. When we take a dog, we don't try to overrun them. We get the dog in front in the wind, and then the dog works back to where he is. So the same thing with us. So these guys have the tools to get in. They have ways to get in. Also, people have shields in their cars that can take rifle rounds. Not so important just to cover the cop, but we can literally, that door, throw 2 shields up and evacuate out these windows and no rifle rounds can come through there. Those are in patrol vehicles. Okay, so those are out there now. Stuff's not cheap. Those are like $5,000 shields. So when you start doing 100 of those, it took us a while to get there. But I want you guys to understand is we are still progressing in active shooter. We're still changing and we're still adapting. But remember where we started? We're not gonna be here right away. You're on your own for a little bit. So if I could, if you want to cut the stream, we're going to go into a little more detail of some recent events. No offense, streamers.